good morning, good afternoon. And thank you very much, Anurag and Karan, for the platform. It's always exciting to watch and see the work of young people and their contributions to the industry. So I was very happy to be part of the jury exercise, let me tell you, and saw some very good work. So, but much about that later. And Anurag has done a fantastic job of context setting. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Let's focus on the skills. And I somehow believe that despite this vastly altered scenario of media fragmentation, things like deep fakes, advent of technology, shrinking budgets, and just a whole lot of change. But at the same time, I would say skills remain constant. A good communicator is a good communicator. Regardless of the times and the context, there are some universal principles of success. And let me focus on that. I won't take a lot of time. You have a lot of things to listen to. And if you have questions, I would love to take them in the break, or I'm around for some time. So without much ado, first thing, what makes for good communication? Can someone answer? Anything that comes to your mind. What's good communication about? Yes, very much so. Thank you. But anything else? Well, content. As a good communicator, you must have good content. Otherwise, why would people listen to you, read you, watch you? Your content has to be good, whether it's verbal, written, digital, video, whatever you choose to do, podcast, regardless of avenues. What makes for good content? 3 C's, in my opinion. Actually 4, but 3 C's. First is clarity. People must understand your clients, your partners, your teammates, the external teams. I never say agency. I always say external partners or partners. It's one team, whether internal and external, a combination of both. They need to understand what you're saying. So if you speak like Shashi Tharoor or write like him, it's wonderful, but it doesn't serve the purpose. Business communication has to be clear and precise. First rule. I learned it in a fairly rough way. I've worked in lots of places. First corporate job was GE, and I heard, I'll take the name. I had Pramod Bhasin as the boss, it was like baptism by fire, writing for him. He's a very good writer himself, but I first wrote for him. I wrote, you know how journalists write. I was a journalist for 8 years. How journalists write? I said, needless to say. So he said, then why say it? Precisely. Business communication needs to be clear and concise, first and foremost. Clarity. Next is consistency. When you write, if you are actually, recommending that a CEO, like Anurag was saying, building his platform or her platform, or a brand using a platform, say like LinkedIn, or a podcast, or Insta. Be consistent about your messaging. You cannot have one brilliant podcast and do nothing for the next 3 months. Doesn't work. At the same time, are you going to be someone who's in media every week? No, don't do that. Because then you're commoditizing your brand. Consistent communication, good communication, external, very much internal, is also key. Clarity, consistency. Third one, most important in today's world, credibility. It has to be credible. What makes you different from somebody who forwards WhatsApp all day? Your source must be credible. Your information must be genuine. Your voice must be authentic. Credible source of communication. If I'm quoting something from New York Times, great. If you're quoting something from Times of India, give the source, give data. These are things I teach every team I work with. If you don't give data, say that we are the #1 brand in the country. Who's saying that? You. If you are saying that, it has no value. It's like a claim. Give data, give source, give authentic source, otherwise you won't be credible. This is very, very important. I see press releases, I see copy every day, which has all these tall claims. I can give you 100 examples, let's not go there. So source and data. Otherwise, how are you credible? I mean, also look at some of the government videos. I mean, this is a perfect example of not having the right data. And then the second chance of altering that data, misinformation, deliberate misinformation. Let's not go there, that's a very slippery slope. Credibility means information with data, with credible source. That's when you are credible as a communicator. And when it comes to delivery, you have the 4th C, confidence. If you are not confident, people will not listen to you. And if you are credible, you're usually confident because you're speaking from facts. That's my first part of being successful and staying successful. Good content, which is clear, consistent, and credible. Second, information. Extremely important. Read, listen, watch. When I was at Google, 7 years, every time I met an agency team who came to pitch, I would say, tell me the day's headlines without looking at my phone or your phone. 95% people failed. People don't read newspapers. If you're PR folks and you're not reading newspapers, I don't care whether you read it as like a paper or a device or who cares. If you're not reading, you have no business being in that job. Can someone tell me today how many headlines? I think most people will today also fail. We don't read. And if you are going to provide strategic counsel to your client, to your boss, to even, how will you know if you don't read? And it's so easy now to get information. I mean, you look at the Trump-Zelensky interview. Within half an hour, it was all over the world. We have such good resources at our disposal today. So please read, please listen. I actually scour for good content, good podcasts, so that I can listen to them. And I mean, I don't need it. I mean, why should I I read everything what the Zeroda guys say. Because I was reading something on diabetes yesterday. Well, I am a diabetic, but even then, because they make so much sense. They read so much, they get so much information. So please, please read, listen, watch, because your value, like Anurag is saying, is not doing tactics. There are plenty of people to do that. Your value actually lies in providing strategic counsel, strategic advice. In the university now, we are trying, I don't do the day-to-day stuff. There's a team for that. But we are trying to change the narrative in a very big way. Ashoka is now 10 years old, and that's my charter, that how do you shift perception and build a narrative going forward? If you don't have strategic acumen, you won't be able to do these things. Or build a CEO brand. It's easier said than done. It's not putting his mug in Economic Times. It'll probably sometimes backfire if you do that. There are very various ways. I'm not going to again get into tactics, but if you are going to build a brand, of a personal brand of a CEO, etc., you have to be thoughtful. You have to be strategic. I mean, I used to have a rule, no ET panache. Because the kind of coverage sometimes, it's not a bad product at all. I mean, it serves a market niche. But if you want to be taken seriously, people shouldn't be writing about what shirt you wore. There's a very famous founder that I've worked with when I was at SoftBank. He used to put up his gym pictures on Instagram. His PR team used to be in tears. So one day I actually called him and said, "What do you think it's doing to you? Why are you doing this?" Stuff like that. But if you are not informed yourself, if you are not reading, and if you are not watching, listening, you won't be able to do this stuff. So please, please read, get yourself informed, and then provide the advice that you need. And the third thing I will say, very important, of course, is technology. If you don't understand, absorb, you can't harness. What is AI? What is artificial intelligence today? It's breaking all frontiers. It's basically teaching you how to ask the right questions, how to write the good prompts. The answers are all there. AI is not giving you the answers. The answers are all there. It's merely organizing the information. If you are blindly using that to do your work, you're going to be caught out. Karan remembers during the judging process, about 10 entries we just had to junk because it's all same and all AI. Somebody said, "No, I provide guidance to Google or something like that." I mean, if you don't think, AI is not your friend, it's your enemy. So understand the technology, then absorb it, and then harness it to your benefit. Don't, become a slave to it. If you're a slave to the technology, technology is having an upper hand on you. And sooner or later, you will fail. You'll get caught out. When I was teaching, I had a class of 52 people. 45 people I had to fail for a written assignment because I told them to write a letter asking an employee to go as an example of empathetic communication. 45 people wrote the same thing. So either you flunk the whole class and ask them to repeat the assignment, which is what I did. So these are simple things. Even if you're a junior person, understand that technology is so exciting. Google has free courses, Microsoft has free courses. Go through one or two, ChatGPT has, and then use it. Absorb, harness, don't become a slave. So content, information, technology. 3 things. And I'll just end with 2 things. One is, without that, you never will be, let alone an authentic professional, a professional. Empathy. If you actually have a client in a crisis situation, put yourself in his or her shoes and understand what the organization is trying to do. I always encourage people to read one letter by Brian Chesky, who's the Airbnb CEO, when he had to lay off half of his population when pandemic struck. They shut down one whole part of the business. Please read Brian's letter. It's widely available on the internet. What empathetic communication means. How to put yourself in the employee's shoes. And not the tactics, not the help with headhunters and medical insurance, the way he writes it. If you don't put yourself in the shoes of your client or your team, internal team, your CEO, you will never understand how the communication is impacting the audience. So empathy. And the last thing, which is the most powerful thing for a PR person, network. Continuous building of network, but build your networks in peacetime. If you are building it in wartime, saying that, look, do this for me, it's very short-sighted. Networks are best built over peacetime. And, you should be able to, a senior PR person or CopCom person should be able to pick up the phone and call an editor saying that, boss, this is incorrect. Please either change the story or carry another one. Well, out of 20 that I meet, maybe 1 has this ability. Networks are the most valuable tool. And I don't only mean editors. It starts right at from the bottom. If you don't have good networks, and where does this come? It comes from intelligence, it comes from empathy, it comes from genuine willingness to build relationships, because those serve you in good stead. When you need them, they're there for you. Are you going to be successful 100% of the time? Absolutely not. But you should be able to have a network which you can call on for help, for assistance, for recognition, whatever it is. Without the Rolodex, a PR person is not a successful PR person. So these are the 5 things I think: good content, staying informed, using the technology, being empathetic, and having a great network. This is the way you stay successful, be successful, and I think these are universal principles which stay with you regardless of how much the context is changing. Thank you.